Welcome, good evening. It's time to get dialed in. We are looking at the state of Kentucky, how to find the right home equity line of credit in Kentucky. I've already started some research on my end, and I can already tell Kentucky came to compete. So that is good news. So if you live in the state of Kentucky, there are a number of local credit unions in your state as it pertains to home equity lines of credits in the second position. We are in an engaged series right now where we're going state by state, finding you the best banks so that you can acquire the best tool so that you can implement this particular strategy on increasing velocity with your finances to either accelerate your debt by leveraging debt that's properly structured and or investing capital, debt at low rates, low costs, with flexibility, with revolving features to increase your cash flow, to make investments, to get you closer to retirement, get you closer to creating the passive amount of income that you want to create in your life, etc., etc. This is a great strategy. It goes by a few names: velocity banking, mortgage acceleration, speed, equity, you've got paycheck parking, you've got accelerated strategies. So the word velocity, the word acceleration, we're looking for speed. That's what this strategy typically offers. And the number one ingredient into actually doing this strategy is having the right tool, having the right line of credit. There's a few different options that banks offer. We have personal lines of credits, that could be personal or business, unsecured or secured. We've got home equity lines of credits. Those are in the first or second position. And then you have, in combination with a PLOC or HELOC, you can have a credit card or credit cards. And then lastly, you have cash value collateral line of credit. There's also securities backed lines of credits where you can take an asset such as a brokerage account and approach a bank and get a line of credit against that asset, and you can have your asset continue to grow without selling, and you can leverage some of that capital and maybe accelerate some debt at a lower interest rate, because when you borrow against equity or collateral, you're typically going to get lower interest rates. You're going to get a better rate, especially if you have great credit, lower DTI. You do all the action items here on the left-hand side of the board, you are going to set yourself up for success. So the left-hand side of the board is a framework to help you find the best line of credit, specifically for second position home equity line of credit. As of September 2025, we're currently at a prime interest rate of 7.25%. In my research, the very first thing I'm going to do, especially when I'm zeroing in on a specific state, is I'm going to find banks that are offering a home equity line of credit in the second position below prime. That immediately is gonna wipe out so many banks, because not very many banks offer prime minus. So that is a huge draw. That's a huge attraction. And then the second thing is an intro rate. So if you have an intro rate in combination with a prime minus, and then you add things like no annual fee, no closing costs, very mobile friendly, the credit score is 720 or higher, LTV options, 70 to 80% is typically what you'll see when getting these really good rates and offers. And again, you narrow the amount of banks on your list. So if you're in the state of Kentucky or neighboring states, you're gonna want to pay attention. Why? Because sometimes I'll find a bank that offer also covers 2 or 3 other states near the state that we're in. And I also encourage you If you're a part of this series right now and you're just along for the ride, this is also going to be very helpful for you to strengthen your skills on market research and making sure you're finding the right tools. And even though you might not be in a certain state, you might find a bank that's in that state but covers your state and ends up being really attractive and a bank you might want to do business with. So with that being said, we're going to start state of Kentucky. I found two banks so far: University of Kentucky Federal Credit Union and Commonwealth Credit Union. Both banks are offering a prime minus. So University of Kentucky is doing a prime minus 1%. That's extremely rare. We don't see that too much. So in today's environment, that would be 6.25%. And then out the gate, they're offering this 1.99 intro rate for 6 months. There's no annual fee. It's a 10-year draw. It's mobile banking friendly. The closing cost was not clear, so I'm not sure if there is or isn't with this specific bank. The only requirement that they have when you initially open up the home equity line of credit, they require a $5,000 initial advance. Not a problem for us in the velocity banking space. Typically, when we're getting a HELOC, we plan on using it immediately to consolidate debt inside of the line of credit, right? You're moving, 10%, 20%, 15, 12, 9 to 1.99, and then 6.25 afterwards. The only way you get that 6.25 rate is if you cover these action items. You got to set yourself up accordingly to get the best offer. Just because they say it on the website doesn't mean any Joe Schmo is going to get that. Let me be abundantly clear in this series. Just because Denzel says, hey, look at this bank, look at this bank, I recommend this, this is my top picks, that doesn't mean you blindly go click on that site if you live in Kentucky and then apply. Because if you do, that means you have a comprehension problem. That means you have a patience problem, a discipline problem, a hearing problem. And for someone that speaks very slow on YouTube, I'm very direct with you, I leave no details out, that is a real problem. That's a real problem. If you blindly, willingly ignore the pregame work, the pre-steps, which a lot of you do. A lot of you do. And so there's something going on in your life when someone is trying to serve you, when someone's trying to help you. That core issue, there's something going on in your life that happened many moons ago. This is called trauma, financial trauma, external trauma, spiritual trauma, physical trauma, you name it. Some kind of trauma, something happened to you in the past, and whatever that thing was, it's now bleeding into your financial decision-making process to the point where you literally cannot let new information in because you are the master of your own prison. You're the prisoner in a prison you designed and you created, and you're the master, you rule over it, and you don't allow people to come in that literally have the keys to unlock you out of that prison. There is no strategy that will get you to your goals in life. There is no strategy. All strategies do, what I've discovered in the last 7 years working with over 1,000+ families of all walks of life, of all different age groups, of all different backgrounds, I've discovered that there is no strategy that can actually help anyone. What truly works is when the individual has done the personal development mindset foundation work first. when they've set themselves up, positioned themselves for success, then you inject the strategy. What the strategy does is it accelerates your timeline to get to the result. That's what strategies truly do, is they accelerate the timeline, positive or negative. So say, for example, I give someone the strategy, the play, the move, boom, 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 everything laid out accordingly. I walk literally with them. I hold their hand and everything. And they have some success initially. So they do this, boom, paying off debt, things are going well, but we haven't addressed the anchor that's having you have this success. We haven't addressed the actual anchor, the foundation. You are just one conversation, one video, one topic with a family member. You're one circumstance, instance in your life from this anchor trauma popping right back up when you're doing well. Then you experience imposter syndrome, you experience fear, doubt, and uncertainty, and you make a move up here because now you really know it all. And that's even more dangerous. See, when you were down here, paycheck to paycheck, and struggling, there really wasn't much further you can go down. Okay? So you're maintaining. But then you have some real success. You jump. I've had clients do this, have real success. I don't hear from them no more. So Denzel's no longer valuable at this point because they now know it all. Okay? They don't seek other counsel. They don't continue to personally develop themselves. And then something happens and they crash and burn. They end up in a worse spot than when they were living paycheck to paycheck. Then they come back. Now we deal with the trauma. Now we deal with what actually went wrong. Then there's explosion. In my personal opinion, there's a lot of you that are going to go through this series just to find the state that you live in and just to find the bank that Denzel recommends, and then you're going to apply. It baffles me. Baffles me. That's what some of you are going to do. I already know. And I want to let you know I still love you. I still appreciate you. I still honor you. I still respect you. What did I say? I don't judge you. I might have said that twice. I will be here when you fail. If you fail. If you make a mistake. If you screw up. I will still be here. And I will be a place that you can come to despite all your flaws, despite all your mistakes and errors, despite you not listening. I will still be here to serve you. I will not deny you just because you didn't do the work. You're going to have to do the work, period. For me to serve you, to actually truly serve you, going to have to do the work. So there's no skipping the work. You can try. You can try. And then you'll mess up again. And I'll still be here. I might be a little bit older. I might have an extra couple gray hairs on the side from the stress that some of you have caused me over the years. And that's okay because I still love you, still honor you, still respect you. I will still be here. This is a safe place. This YouTube channel is a safe place to ask any question. No question's a dumb question. We will fact check each other. We will do the work. We will make it happen. Got it? I had to go down that rant because I just know. I know what is happening because I'm giving away the entire playbook when it comes to this strategy. Just giving it all away. And there's a good and bad to it. The good part is I'm giving it all away. I'm getting people set up. I'm getting people are going to have results. People are going to pay off debt real fast. The bad part is I'm giving it away for free, and it's going to get abused, misused, misrepresented, because some of this information I'm saying is going to change. It will change because banks change their stuff all the time. But again, you're not listening to that for that crowd. Some of you are not listening. You're going to see prime minus 1%, and you go a prime, and you get a prime plus 2%. And you're going to say, what the hell? Denzel said it was a prime minus 1%. I said, but did you read the other terms and agreements and disclosure? Did you get the full context of what Denzel said? Prime minus 1% for credit-worthy borrowers. That's prime borrowers. That's 720 plus or higher. DTI 30% or less. That's, you have a banking relationship with them. You have the right amount of income to support that tool. You have the amount of equity in there. You went with an 80% LTV, not a 90% LTV. But there's going to be people that just aren't going to listen. But again, support you, not going anywhere. This channel's a clinic. It's literally a hospital. This channel's like a hospital. I help the sick, I help the poor, I help the needy, I help the stressed out, the burnt out, the uninformed, and I bring you back to a healthy level for you to operate your kingdom. With that, let's share the screen. Let's dive into it. I'm done with my rant. I'm sorry for the state of Kentucky, but I might do this again as I continue down this series. I might go on another rant one of these days. I just got to get it. I had to get it off my chest. So let's begin. University of Kentucky Federal Credit Union. Kentucky came to play. This is the first bank I found when I did my research. I said, whoa, we have a flexible home equity line of credit, second position, 1.99 for the first 6 months, as low as 6.25, as low as. Doesn't mean every single person that applies is going to get that. It just means as low as. 10-year draw, cool. Access your funds by check, telephone banking, online banking, or in person at a branch. The online banking part is the only thing we care about. That means we're able to access our dollars instantly. All right. No annual fee. That's cool. The only two pieces of information that we're missing is closing costs and LTV. I'm willing to take a guess that this probably, in order to get the 1.99 and as low as 6.25, you got to have the best credit with them, and probably 80% LTV is what I'm going to guess for now, but I don't know for sure. You'd have to call and verify. But when you read this little sentence down here, this offer is valid for new home equity lines of credits only. There's a $5,000 initial advance during the promotional rate. That's cool. It's fine. It says existing HELOCs are not eligible for refinance under this promotional rate. If loan is paid in full in less than 3 years and a line of credit is closed, member will be required to pay closing costs of approximately $150 to $600. So that kind of implies that maybe the bank is covering the closing costs as long as you keep your line of credit open for at least 3 years. Not a problem for us. Most of us will do that. APR is based on credit history, subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Okay, important. But still, prime minus 1, beautiful. That's gold. So if you live in Kentucky, that is gold. Now we can look, see if this state covers any other states. We can look at that. Let's see anything at the bottom of their website. Sometimes they show states, sometimes they don't. Not seeing it. All FCPS employees, okay, membership. All right, let's go to the next bank. There's another one. This bank covers Kentucky and Indiana. Home equity line of credit, Commonwealth Credit Union. We got, says borrow up to 100%. LTV, 1.99 for 6 months. Rate is as low as 7%. So that's prime minus 0.25. Mobile banking friendly. I like that. Max credit line, 400,000. Cool, cool, cool. One interesting piece of information here. It says members can only benefit from the 1.99 promotional rate once every 24 months. Does that mean that if I have a HELOC and after 24 months, could I potentially get another promo rate? It might not be 1.99, but could I still get a promo rate? However, they can qualify for this rate again within that period if they obtain a new HELOC with an initial advance that is at least $5,000 more than the previous HELOC balance. Interesting. So after 2 years, from what I understand, and what they're saying is you could apply for a pretty much like a credit line increase with this HELOC as long as it's $5,000 more than the previous HELOC balance, and maybe get another promo rate. That could be attractive. And that's it for that site. Next one, we got Abound Credit Union. Let's see what they offer. Rates. Loan rates. Home equity. Prime. Is that the only information? So far we know this bank does prime. Let's see. Menu. Loan. Home equity. %, LTV. No annual fee. Mobile banking friendly. Doesn't look like there's an intro rate. $250 application fee. Most likely will have some closing costs. All right, so this is not whiteboard worthy, I would say, compared to the other two banks I just found you, right? No intro rate. They want, a $250 application fee, so it's not looking all that attractive. Now, as you're doing the research, again, once you find a bank that's prime minus, you're able to just start eliminating the other bank options off your research. So look, I don't have to go much further because I immediately found, okay, what their rate is. It says APR is currently 7.5%. So that's prime plus 0.25%. So I don't even need to entertain the site. I can just kick it off and say Service One Credit Union gets bumped from the list. I could keep Abound for now just because it's at a prime, but that's it. It's just standard. Okay. This is our process of elimination when we're doing our research. Here we got another bank called Transcend Credit Union. No closing costs, no annual fees. Variable rate as low as 5.99%. Hmm. Is that for their, gotta be careful, it might be for their home equity loan, not their line. Based on credit worthiness. No advance, no annual, no closing. Interesting. Very attractive, very attractive. Let's go to rates. Low as 5.99, guys. It's not saying that that is a intro rate. It's saying the rate could go as low as 5.99. That's what? Prime minus 1.25%? It almost sounds too good to be true. Almost sounds too good to be true. Like I want to find the problem. And they're saying no closing costs, no annual fees. Absolutely worthy of the whiteboard. Let's do it. I would love for someone in Kentucky to actually call that bank. So this is Transcend. Credit Union. 5.99. No intro. No closing costs. No annual fee. My goodness. Mobile banking friendly. We just don't know LTV. We don't know what that is. And we don't know the draw period. But again, look at what Kentucky's doing. They're coming to play. I like this. I like this a lot. Very attractive so far. Like I could stop there. You know, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do it. We're gonna do the full research. Let's go back. So we'll keep that site open. You know what that does to this though? Abound. It's getting ready to be dropped completely. Like you don't even need to spend time. So General Electric Credit Union is the next bank that I found. Let's see what we got. Home equity line of credit, 5.99 intro rate 6 months, then converts to variable, 7%. It's low S, so that's prime minus 0.25. 10-year draw. If we wanted to just rack up a list, we could throw this bank on there. General Electric. If we want to just get a list going. So I'll just write General Electric for now so I remember. Let's keep our research going. So we have Ashland Credit Union. 10-year draw. That's the only drawback. Every time you pull money out, it has to be at least 500 bucks. 90% LTV. Maximum line of credit is FHFA max conforming limit, currently 806. Holy crap. So I guess that's a good factor there. They go very, very high in their credit limit. Pass through appraisal fees up to 1,000. Do they show the rates? Ooh, okay. Okay. Variable rate subject to change semi-annually. Max rate is 24% though. Shoot. Shoot. Don't love that. Sounds like their rate only changes semi-annually. But I gotta say, based on what I'm seeing so far, that's worthy of the whiteboard. That's whiteboard worthy. So Ashland. And Ashland was prime minus 0.75%. Very attractive. Just that alone. Very attractive. Let's keep those up. Let's keep going. I'll tell you, Kentucky came to play. Can't wait to serve my future Kentucky clients. That will come from this video. Here we go. Home equity line of credit. Members Heritage Credit Union. No application fees or processing fees. Cool. 100% LTV. Only a 7-year draw. A little bit of a drawback there. Small first required advance. Nothing crazy. Mobile banking. We like that. Okay, so it's just prime. So this is kind of equal to Abound. So we can put those two together. So that was members, right? Prime. So that's quick. We don't have to spend too much time there. We did Transcend. We did General Electric. We did Ashland. Here's another bank I found called Members Choice Credit Union. 90% LTV, 10-year draw. Says call for details, so it doesn't look like they're giving too much information. So most likely not whiteboard worthy, only because we don't know what information. Ah, never mind. Never mind. So again, not worth looking at. Why? It says equal to index of Wall Street Journal prime plus 1.75%. So their lowest interest rate is prime plus 1.75%. Highly unattractive compared to what we have on the whiteboard. Make sense? So we're just gonna delete them. Let's do a little more research. Let's see if there's any other banks that we can find in Kentucky that is willing to play ball. What's this? Republic Bank. I think Republic Bank, we covered them before. It's a bigger bank, so 4.996 months as low as prime. 500K, 90% LTV, mobile banking friendly. Not terrible. I'm not upset. But in this context, wouldn't make it on our whiteboard for Kentucky. So we found better things, better offers. Let's look at this Liberty Federal Credit Union. Look at that. So that's pretty attractive. 90% LTV, 750,000 max credit line, 10-year draw. Blah, blah, blah. Approval. Home equity loan. What about home equity line? Home equity line of credit security, our fixed rate second mortgage, da da da, da da da, consult. The rate on the 80% home equity line of credit is prime rate. 90%, same benefit, and use the same index with a rate of 1.5 above the prime rate. So even though they go as high as 90%, you're going to want to avoid that. Stick with the 80. And it looks like it's just prime, 7.25. So the reason why someone would pick this bank, Liberty, or Republic, or what was the other bank that was going big on the credit line? Honestly, this bank, Ashland, they're going big and offering better terms. So you would still want to go with this smaller bank. So they're not worthy. Liberty's not worthy. See if I can find you anything else. Going to page 2 now. Prime minus 0.5%. Let's do it. L and N. Do they even offer a HELOC? Home equity? 5 to 10-year draw, 90%, low closing. Prime minus 0.5. No intro. Rate as low as 6.75. Okay. Okay. You know, if we want to just, again, if we want to increase our list, you know, we can just say L, N, FCU, prime, minus 0.5%. All right, let's take it to the whiteboard. Let's take it to the whiteboard. Let me just look up General Electric again. So General Electric was prime minus 0.25% and then 5.99 6 months. 10-year draw. Top picks. State of Kentucky. Kentucky came to compete. We like that. We like that a lot. Okay, so when it comes to values now, here's where it gets tough. When I say my top picks, this is based on my values. So you might value something different. And every situation will influence a potential different direction. But I can honestly say for the majority of people that if you went with my top picks, you're gonna do better than on your own. I can honestly say that. And we can, obviously, this is where coaching and accountability comes into play, where it's like, to verify your decision, run it with a professional. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't even have to be me, but run it with a professional that understands the strategy and how HELOCs work and they're not anti-HELOC. Just because they're a financial professional doesn't mean they're all pro HELOCs. There's a vast majority of financial professionals that are against home equity lines of credit, and I think it's because they haven't taken the time, like I have, to go through this to see where this can be extremely valuable for a large group of people. So you don't want to necessarily get your advice from someone that's against what you're trying to do. They don't have to be, pro, but if they can be neutral and just say, okay, based on the information, yeah, boom, this is how this works. So when it comes to my values, top thing for me is the rate, the prime minus part. I truly enjoy a HELOC that is always going to be below where everyone else is going to be at. So that puts me at a very competitive borrowing advantage, short term and long term. For as long as I have that draw period, I lock in the next 10 years the ability to borrow at lower rates and finance things at better cost than anybody else. For the most part, for the majority of things that you would finance out there, I'm gonna get a better rate. All right. So for me, top pick number one, without even thinking about it, I don't even need to know what the max credit line is, even if it's only 200,000, 250. The fact that I've got no annual fee, potentially no closing costs, if so, very little, a prime minus 1% with an intro rate of 1.99 for the first 6 months, game changer. So university is number one and it stands by itself. Number two, we have prime minus 0.25. Prime minus 0.25, we have prime minus 0.5, prime minus 0.75, and what was transcend? Let me go back. 5.99. We don't even know. So if we can verify, because it says variable rate as low as 5.99, like for some reason, like my head is like not accepting that the rate could be potentially even further below University of Kentucky Federal Credit Union prime minus 1. This is literally prime minus 1.25. So I want to verify transcend. I'm gonna put them in second place for now. This is me being emotional because it's like I'm finding that hard to believe at the moment. And no closing costs, no annual fee. I don't know what the LTV is. We don't know what the draw period is. So it's 3 questions we have to figure out. Gotta verify that 5.99. I'm like, is that an intro rate or is that literally how low the rate could be? If it's that, I would put transcend at number one. So transcend could be number one if I can verify that 5.99 as the rate that's prime minus 1.25% or 1.2.5 something because it's that 5.99. So just call it 6%. That's prime minus 1.25. Okay. So if that's the case, very attractive, ladies and gentlemen. Very attractive. Okay. Number three, without even thinking about it, it's Ashland. Prime minus 0.75. And that's all I need to know about that bank. At that prime minus. And I can come back and pull them up again. So Ashland, they have a high credit limit. what was it, 806,000 credit limit, 90% LTV. That's insane. 10-year draw. Super cool. No arguments there. So Ashland, it comes in third. Everybody else fallen. All right, so L and N would be next. But when we're narrowing your options, we eventually want to narrow down to one bank. So I'm between University of Kentucky and Transcend. The 1.99 for 6 months is cool, and I would probably accept that over Transcend if Transcend was charging me closing costs, was charging an annual fee. Then I would go with a slightly higher prime to get the 1.99 to not have an annual fee, to not have any closing costs. If University of Kentucky does have closing costs internally, then I'm picking Transcend and opting out of the intro rate. Simple as that. So when it comes to values, what does Denzel value the most? Values. It's prime minus. Then this is specifically for HELOCs. Then it's the intro rate. Then it's closing costs. All right. Let me also imply something with this and my ranking, that this implies we have the right structured tool. So it's mobile banking friendly. It's revolving. Whatever the draw period is. The LTV and the credit, like, it implies all that is in place. And the key thing I'm looking at is that prime minus intro rate closing costs. I want to give you that context because I don't want you to make a decision. You're doing your research and, oh, Denzel said prime minus. No, I didn't. I'm just sharing with you like where my eyes first go. And then I'm still going through my whole checklist. Still doing the whole checklist because all of this is extremely valuable. So the more boxes you can check, the better on the tool. So with Transcend, I'm saying yes, that's my top pick and University. But what's going to make me actually say yes? Once I verify this question, LTV, draw period, credit score requirement, verification of the rate, then I'm not even going to apply yet. What do I do? What's my next step? Become a member first. Sign up. Open up a checking and savings. Move my paychecks over to that bank. Get fully set up. Know the person I'm talking to by name when I go to apply, so I know that there's a human element on top of my application when I submit it. Susan at the bank has got my back. She's going to make sure the underwriter knows, hey, push this one through. Hey, I want to make sure this goes through. It's a great client. That's important to have that additional factor. So when you watch the series and you watch my other playlists on how to prepare for the line of credit and all about the line of credit and the velocity banking pregame work and all these things come together, setting you up for success. Okay? Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, looking forward to California. Definitely, I'm going to cover California. I'm going to have to like break up California for sure. Probably multiple vids with that. We'll see. Just spoke with a client today who has a HELOC with Figure, 11.6%. Like, I hate it so much. I hate it so much. I mean, I get mail from Figure every single week. Boom. boom, boom. Between Figure and Avon, the both of them, every week I see something in the mail from them. So when they're that accessible, again, the vast majority of people, they're just, they make a quick decision. They don't even process. They don't shop around. It's like, oh my goodness. And then they find me. They find Logan. They find other content creators. 11.6%. The first thing I try to do with those clients, depending on how long they've had that HELOC, I'm like, hey, no more than a year are we in this thing. We're getting out. I'm gonna have you immediately go open up a checking account with a credit union in your state locally, has the best rate offer, and you're gonna pay down that HELOC as much as you can. We're not gonna leverage it. Don't leverage it. Don't do it. We want to pay that down because I want to get you a better tool within a year. Okay. Get that credit score back up where it needs to be. I don't want to consolidate too much in there, right? Unless it's credit cards, like 20, 30%. Okay, fine, right? 20, 30% to 11.6, that's still a win. But we're not going to be consolidating 6% car loans into an 11.6% HELOC. We're not going to be doing chunks on your 4% mortgage into an 11.6 HELOC. We're not doing that. If you're someone that's doing that, you're misrepresenting this strategy, and that's why it gets so much controversy, because there's people that are not putting an emphasis on how important it is to have a lower rate. Like, the rate has significance, no doubt. In the velocity banking world, we can lower your net percentage cost in a year from 11.6 to 8 or 9%. But you're still at that high rate when we could have been much less, like 6.75%, 6.5, things like that. So very, very important. Can you check Valley Strong Credit Union? Okay, so this is outside of Kentucky, I'm assuming. So again, the Kentucky session is done. I'm going to answer a quick question here. We're going to do some research on a credit card, and then we'll close out. So we got a request to look up Valley Strong Credit Union. Let's see where they're located. Bakersfield. Let's see. Okay, so California. Gotcha. All right, so specifically dealing with California here. Let's look at their credit cards. Platinum. 0 annual fee. 0 balance transfer fees. We like that a lot. Look how low that rate is on the credit card. That's insane. It only goes as high as 17.9. Like, that's pretty game changer. $50,000 credit limit. Very attractive. All right, so there's no balance transfer fee. Balance transfers are limited to credit cards only. So you can only transfer a debt from one credit card to another with balance transfers. For the most part. For the most part. I have never seen a scenario where someone can do a balance transfer and it converts into cash, like a direct deposit to your account. That's basically a cash advance at that point. So there are credit cards out there where you can turn credit into cash. Okay? You can turn credit into cash. And that would be via a cash advance. And there are some credit cards out there that don't charge a fee. Okay? And I do believe they're so rare, but I do believe there are some credit cards out there where you can do a balance transfer in the form of a cash advance and not pay a fee. So you just need to clarify that with them and go one by one with those questions when you're talking to the bank. But I mean, this is super cool. Like if I can get a 12.75% rate on a credit card, no balance transfer fee. Let's see if they have do they have an intro rate? No. So there's no intro rate. So it's like one of those things where it's like, let's say you don't have a home. Let's say you're not a homeowner. So there's the vast majority of people who are not homeowners. So this series is not even for them, right? It's not relevant for them at this point in time, could be later on. So in the world of credit cards, and I'll definitely do a series on credit cards. We'll have a ton of fun with credit cards. When it comes to credit cards, there's a lot of people who have 25 to 30% credit cards. So imagine if you could get a $25,000, $30,000 credit limit with a local credit union credit card that has no balance transfers, and you get put on 12.75%. That's still technically a high rate, but compared to your other debts, your other credit card debts, it's much lower. So now you can do these balance transfers at no cost. That's awesome. So you literally just consolidated a 29% credit card you owe 10 grand on, moved it to 12.75. It's sitting in there, and now you can do a level of velocity banking. What's that level? Where you can deposit a portion of your income directly into the credit card, 100% principal, and then you use the credit card for all bills that can be paid with a credit card. And if this card comes with cashback rewards, let's say, now you're reducing that cost to borrow, and you're also lowering the net amount of interest that you pay in that month. Right? So you're drastically lowering your borrowing costs, even though it's at 12.75% compared to the other credit cards you had, you're saving much more money. The payment that you were making on that 29% card, you now make it on the 12.75. So now your payment is even stronger in terms of principal balance pay down. So that's awesome. It's very, very good. We'll close out here. Thank you for your time. This has been great. We're going to keep this going. I'm not going live tomorrow, but we're going to pick it up next week, and we're going to just keep hammering away. We're going to cover every single state in America on home equity lines of credits. Once we're done with that series, then we're going to dive into credit cards. We'll dive into PLOCs. We'll do first lien HELOCs. We're going to cover everything. So you have an archive of data that you can leverage when the time comes for you and your family. As your family gets older, you have nieces and nephews, young kids, you say, hey, we live in Florida, we live in Kentucky. Watch these videos when it comes to financing things. You're just going to be a better borrower over the course of your life. You'll save tens of thousands of dollars alone just by being a better borrower, to the point where you get to a debt-free position, then you're saving and investing, and then you get to a position where you never have to borrow again because you created your own self-financing system through investments, through cash value policies, and other methods. It's awesome. My name is Denzel. Enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless, and talk soon.